What's the deal with airfare? Hi friends, I'm Rich with Just Go.
And I'm Denise, and we're your travel coaches. And today we're going to talk about airfare. We know that airfare can be one of the most expensive things of your trip and could quite possibly be the thing that keeps you from actually traveling because it's expensive. So we want to talk to you today about some tips that we've learned for finding the best airfares to wherever you want to go.
Yeah, exactly. The days of travel agents are long gone, so it's up to you to find that fare that you're looking for that's a great price. That can't be done very easily sometimes. You've got to do a lot of research. So we've come up with some tips that we feel will help you land that outstanding deal that you're looking for.
Exactly. And nothing against travel agents, because if that's your thing and you want to do that, that's great. But most people are looking online now for all of these kinds of airfares. So here's one tip that we have found really helpful in helping us to find the best airfares. When you go online and you open your browser window, set your browser to private mode. I don't know if you've ever heard of this before, but I don't know all of the details about how the internet works, okay? So like the interwebs are out of my mental scope here, but what I do know is that when you go online, the internet remembers where you've gone. And so when you go to a website and you're searching for that airfare and you see that it's too high or whatever, you haven't bought it, you go back the next day or even an hour later and you go to find that same airfare, you're going back to the same website every time, they recognize you. It'll recognize your computer. And sometimes when airlines drop prices, that price drop will not be reflected on your computer because they know that you're looking for that particular flight. And so for some reason, it doesn't register that on your computer because it remembers you. So what it does, what putting your computer on private browser mode does is that it makes it so that the website that you're visiting doesn't remember you. So if there is a price drop, your computer will see it. You'll be able to see that, and you'll be able to see it without them recognizing that it's you visiting that same website for the 45th time to check on that airfare. So try that. Open your browser window and click on private browsing mode to search for airline fares.
How about that? So, where do you start? There are several popular websites out there. One of my favorites is Kayak. That pulls all of the airline's fares, pretty much all of the airline fares, into different categories. You can break it down by price, travel time. Obviously you have to select your specific days and whatnot of travel, but it's a great user-friendly website. Another popular one out there is Travelocity, and Expedia is great as well, or even Google. Quite honestly, Google is very smart, obviously, hence why everybody Googles things. But start with one of those websites just to get a feel for what the fares are, get your baseline. That's a great way just to get started. You do have to spend some time doing some research if you really want to find the good deals.
Yes, and I also want to mention that we're not getting paid any extra money for mentioning any of these sites. We're not getting paid anything for doing that, but we just want to make sure that you know where it is that we look. I use Expedia quite a bit. That's kind of my go-to. I know you use Kayak quite a bit, but we're not getting any benefit from mentioning them. But here's another thing that you can't forget to do. Even though you're looking on those websites, also go to specific airline websites. It takes a little bit of extra time, like Rich just said, to do a little bit more research. But sometimes I've been able to find, I know you have too, been able to find a cheaper fare if you go directly to an airline's website. For example, again, not getting anything from mentioning them, but Southwest Airlines, some of their flights are not on these popular websites like Expedia or Travelocity. So if you want to find a flight on Southwest, you've got to go to their website. And sometimes I'll go and look on, let's say, Expedia, find whatever flights are available there, and then say that I find something on American Airlines. I'll go to American Airlines website and compare. And sometimes I've found it cheaper on the airline website than I do on this other one. So I think it's really important to look at specific airline websites as well.
Yeah. So another tip is actually bundling your entire trip together. So your airfare, your hotel, and if you have a rental car too. When you do that, it really drops what you're paying significantly. It's amazing what you can actually save by putting those three options together. You just check it out. Again, some of these websites have filters available, so you can put all three together. And again, it's about finding that baseline and then going from there to find the best deal.
Yes, and in fact, one of the trips that I took recently, I searched with the airline with and without the hotel. And when I bundled it all together, basically the hotel turned out to be free because the flight would have cost me the same either way. So definitely a really good tip there. So here's another tip that a lot of people don't know. When you're searching for airlines online or airfares online, if you search on Tuesday morning, really early Tuesday morning, as early as you can, that will be probably the best day that you'll find the best deals. Now, another day is Wednesday mornings. I'll explain why in a little bit here, but Tuesday morning, Wednesday mornings, and sometimes Tuesday night, late at night, are the best times to search. Why is that? Well, think about this. Most people are searching for their airfares on weekends. That's just the way we are, right? You're at home, you're not at work, you open up your computer, let's see what that fare will cost. And so a lot of people are snagging up these fares on the weekends that are at a higher price because the companies know that's when you're looking, right? And then after the weekend is over, by Monday morning, all these people at the airlines and all these websites are back at work and they're looking to see what sold over the weekend and what didn't sell over the weekend. They're going to try to fill those seats. So they start putting all those airfares on sale on Monday afternoon, Monday evening. So if you're up Tuesday morning early, you look at those fares that they've just dropped from that night before, and you'll be able to find a cheaper flight. I have literally saved hundreds of dollars on airfares by doing that. I've watched them on the weekends, and then Tuesday morning, it's like $500 cheaper.
Right. Wow. How about that? That's
crazy.
crazy. So another thing is flying to or from an alternate airport. A lot of us have the ability to drive a short distance to another airport to fly out of, and that can be very helpful. You might not live by the biggest airport, but maybe it's a couple hours away. And by doing that, because there's more flights leaving from that airport, you get a better rate. It's really amazing how much you can save that way if you're willing to take a short drive.
Absolutely, or even Uber over or something
Sure.
like that to save a little bit of money. So yes, definitely check different airports. Also, another thing is, it's not as convenient, but be willing to do flight connections instead of taking a direct flight. Direct flights are more expensive a lot of times, not always. And I know that sometimes I've chosen a more expensive option just to be able to fly somewhere directly. But if that's not a huge concern or you're not trying to get somewhere fast, doing the different connections saves a lot of money. I flew to Europe for like $1,000 a few months ago, and $1,000 for airfare and hotel. And it was, I took 3 different airplanes to get there. But it was so worth it because who flies to Europe for a week for $1,000? So be willing to take different different airplanes to get to where you're going. Same airline, but different flights to get there rather than a direct connection if necessary.
Yeah, it doesn't take that much longer, really,
Yes.
So it's worth it. If you're looking for that vacation, definitely think outside the box. Also think about flying or taking your vacation rather during the off season. It's not always possible because sometimes it's cold and there'd be snow, but other times that destination really is beautiful year round. And you really can save a lot of money when everybody else is not traveling there. That's, if you have the ability to do that, definitely think about it. If it's that destination that you really want to go see, and you're looking to save that money, think about flying during the off season for sure.
Yes, and I know a lot of you have kids and they're in school and you can't take time off. I get that. I understand that. I was a teacher for 23 years of my life, but if you can figure out a way to do something during an off season, yeah, it's definitely a better option. And as a teacher, I did spring break trips. So you might think spring break is a high season. It is in some places, like Florida, right? Like everybody goes somewhere warm during spring break. Florida is a big destination. So maybe you don't want to go there. I've done my European trips during spring break. Guess what? In Europe, that's the off season. And that's part of the reason why I was able to get a much better deal. So definitely something to consider. Maybe, Christmas break or Thanksgiving break, whenever you have these times available that are not necessarily summertime, that's a big deal.
For sure. Also be willing to travel on weekdays. So many people take a vacation that goes from weekend to weekend. If you have the ability to do it, travel during the middle of the week. Look for that day that's going to be the cheapest fare. And just take that vacation that gives you a full weekend. Maybe you leave on a Wednesday and you come back on a Wednesday. Just play around with the dates a little bit. If you're flexible, that can really save you quite a bit of money.
Yeah, Tuesdays, right?
Exactly.
Flying out on Tuesdays is actually a really good deal too. Yeah. So here's another thing to consider. You don't need as much luggage as you think you do. I've discovered that myself. And so one of the considerations to save a little bit of money is to take a carry-on instead of checking your luggage. I know it's a little bit inconvenient to have to carry your stuff with you or whatever, but it does save you money because some airlines will charge you, some don't. Southwest doesn't charge anything for their baggage. I don't know if you knew that. But some will charge you like $35 for each bag that you check, your first bag. And that's both ways, right? So $35 to where you're going, $35 back. Now you're paying $70 more for the airline or the airfare that you were trying to save money on. So if you can carry your luggage, do the little bit of liquids in plastic bags and save some time that way, save some money that way, I think that's another really great tip to do.
For sure. I mean, that definitely saves you a lot of money. Also, let the airline assign your seat. There's fares that are out there that don't allow you to pick a seat right away. The airline actually picks the seat for you prior to boarding. And those fares are significantly cheaper than you actually picking the seat at the time that you booked the flight. That's something that's actually become quite common and popular with the airlines, so that they can shift seats around for other travelers and just make the most of the room in the airplane itself.
Yep, absolutely. That's a big one too. Because some places, like some airlines, will charge you $25 just so you can pick your own seat.
Yeah. Oh, everybody's going to get there at the same time.
Yeah, and speaking of that, board with everybody else. Some airlines will offer you for you to pay an extra $20, $30, $40 for you to be able to get on the plane first. Whether it's first class or not, like airlines are offering this now. And I think people are, kind of getting suckered into this where, I'll pay an extra $40 to get on the plane first. Why? You're going to get there anyway, especially if you already have an assigned seat. One of the things that we do is we wait until pretty much everybody's on the plane, no matter where our seat is. If they say boarding group 3 and we're group 3, we still wait until the end because we have a seat already. We just go in and, at the end and not have to wait through the crowds of people trying to find their stuff and whatever. So just board with everybody else and don't pay those extra fees to be able to get on the plane first and sit there longer.
Right.
Not worth it.
Not at all. Let's talk about another thing that's quite expensive to vacation, and that's food. When you go to the airport, pack a water bottle with you. You can fill that up once you go through security, through TSA. Airport food is so expensive. Either at the airport or on the plane. Just when you get through security at the airport, buy something, at one of the vendors in the airport that can serve as your meal on the plane. Like I mentioned, take that water bottle that you can fill up at the airport itself, and really save yourself some money doing it yourself instead of letting the full service caterers do that for you on the plane.
Yeah, some airlines are charging for food now. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah, you'll get the pretzels or the peanuts, but if you want a meal, some airlines are charging for that. So check on that and bring your own food. Even if you buy it at the airport, it's still cheaper than buying it on the plane.
Right.
So, and the last tip that we have for you right now is this. When you find that right fare that's affordable for you, and you know where you're going, you know how long you want to be there, you find it, and you're like looking at it on your computer, be ready to buy. Be ready to buy that airfare at that moment. Don't sit there and go, well, I think I'll wait until tomorrow and see if it drops anymore. This isn't Vegas. Don't take your chances like that. When you see a great fare, be willing to take it.
Right.
Yeah, the prices might drop, but they might also soar, and you would have missed out. If it's something that's affordable for you, be ready to just buy it at that moment, and then just be ready to go on your vacation.
Yeah. As long as you've done your homework, done your research, you know that, this is the cheapest I've seen this. Just make sure you hit that buy button, okay?
Yes.
Take advantage of what you've done. You've done a lot of hard work, researching the flight and the prices and whatnot. So make sure that you get it then and there, because if you do go back, like Denise says, it's probably not going to be there tomorrow or the next day.
No.
I've made that mistake before.
Yeah, and the closer you get to the time of when you want to travel, the higher the prices will go. So would you say maybe, depending on where you're going, 2 or 3 months in advance to buy your tickets is usually a pretty good rule of thumb.
Yep. There are exceptions from time to time, but in general, leave yourself a window of time so that you're not trying to book a vacation next week or something like that. That's just not going to happen. You do have to give yourself a window of about 2 to 3 months out at least.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about that in another video at another time, about when to actually purchase vacations and where to go and how much lead time to give yourself.
Exactly. I feel that we just have so much valuable information to share with everybody that can help you save in so many ways that we're going to continue making videos to get all that information out there so that you can travel like a pro.
Definitely. Yeah. So check out our webpage. We have a blog that we're putting things on there all the time. So our webpage is justgotravelcoach.com, and like our Facebook page so you can follow us and get all these wonderful tips, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So until next time, just go.
Travel with confidence. Bye-bye, friends.